Welcome to the D&D Fitness Radio podcast, brought to you by your hosts Don Saladino from New York City and Derek Hansen from Vancouver, Canada.
We literally put together a 20-hour course with over 100 videos on it. So, all actionable items, all worksheets, and we're going to have a mastermind course where, you're going to, if you download the course, you're going to get access to me and my wife and ask us questions. But we legitimately documented the entire process of when we kind of converted from brick and mortar to this. And so to be able to document every step along the way and now actually give it to everyone, it really is. We're like, here's everything we did. Like, if you could do what we did, awesome. Most people want to hide that shit and hold it close to them. And we're just like, fuck it, take it.
When you were going through it, when you're actually going through the process, were you thinking, hey, let's make a course out of this? Or is it sort of after the fact?
You know what? Yeah, it was more after the fact. What was interesting is it's like a transformation, right? Like, you take the before with hopes that that person really sticks and is able to do it. So I think in the back of your head, you're like, oh, we might need this. Let's just start documenting everything along the way to make it easier. We probably will need this. And then, when it really, because at the end of the day, if it wasn't successful in month 6, what are you really selling, right? Like the fact that we were able to take it from 0 to hero in 6 months and now continue to build even after the pandemic, which I think is where you're seeing a lot of that fluff is starting to settle. Like, a lot of the people who, it almost reminds me of like the tech stock era back in like 1998, 99. Like, if you invested in Amazon or Gateway or, Google or like any of these companies, you were ripping. Like, you're going to make a ton of money. And I remember, because I was interning at a place called Payne Weber. But before that, probably 97, which is now was bought by UBS. And I remember investing some money in a few stocks and being like, really? I'm a young kid and I made 40, 50 grand in the summer from this. Like, unbelievable. Like, how easy is this? And in 2000, 2001, like, you're obviously like, oh, wow, this isn't a guaranteed thing. So, I think it was the same thing. But, my wife and I, we were on to building something that ended up being really special, but we wanted to, completely, show every step along the way. And listen, if you're great, it's like, actor, I'll make up a name. Annie Hathaway can do a masterclass on how to become a great actor. Doesn't mean you're gonna be able to do what she did, right? It's one of those things. Now, I believe if you follow these actionable steps, and I believe if you, put your time in and continue to, do the things you need to do, I do believe you can build up a serious business if you do the things that we are instructing you to do along the way. And a lot of things that most people just aren't like, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, really? Like, people get discouraged so easy. Like, I'm going to start social media, and social media is like the easiest part of it all. Like, in my eyes, it's just something that everyone's doing, but there's really no focus on it. But it's not even like what's the driving force to developing, a strong online business. It helps. I think it's the sprinkles on the ice cream, but you got to develop an email list. You got to have consistent content. You got to collaborate. What's your email newsletter? How are you, what terms are you using? How are you keeping a clean inbox? Like, what are all these things that you're doing to allow yourself more exposure? And then how are you going to continue to improve your marketing? Which, at the end of the day, that's billions of people on this planet. Like, we can all continue to get more people, right? So, yeah, I'm really excited. We put it up, and without even the intentions of starting to sell it yet, we just wanted to get our marketing stuff. We've already been selling already. And, we're able to kind of keep track of how far along someone is in the course. So it is great to see. Got a nice meeting set up with Chris Poirier next week from Perform Better. He's going to help us out with it, and a few other people like yourself who, I truly believe, I spoke to Jordan Shallow about it. I believe this is something that's not a conflict of interest for coaches, and we can kind of start partnering up with a few coaches and give an offering that, most coaches aren't trying to make a business into, which we are.
So who would be your target market, like in terms of getting this information out to people? Because I think some people might go, well, Don, is pretty well known and maybe it's easier for him, but what are some of the things that you guys are pushing that could help the
I think
average
anyone,
person?
I think anyone who's starting an online business, right? Anyone like a doctor, a physical therapist, a nutritionist. Like if you're trying to structure your online business, then yes, like this is just for you. A trainer, obviously, right? So if you're trying to get your online business going, in my eyes, it's like just study this course. Like we're going to come out with different courses and we're going to evolve this, of course. But in my eyes right now, trainers have always focused on becoming great at training. They go listen to you about running mechanics and they go listen to Pat Davidson or Jordan, whoever it might be, Charlie. Like they're not just becoming a certified trainer if they're listening to you guys, right? Like it's not like, oh, I'm going to take my NASM right now. It's my first weekend. Like I'm going to go listen to Pat Davidson. Like you'll be lost, right? You won't know what the hell he's talking about because I think he's a little bit more advanced, right? So right now, I feel like with most coaches out there, I'd probably go on record to say 95% of them are focusing on their, working in their business, meaning like how many sessions am I doing a week? I'm going to put out some social media, but what are you putting out social media for? Right? Like what's your call to action? Like there's all these important steps along the way that even you can improve upon, even all of us can improve upon, right? But I think if you're just getting started in your business, or if you're advanced in your business, I know a lot of guys that are really advanced from a training standpoint that need to watch this. So I really believe this is a course for anyone. A beginner might get 100 steps out of it, and someone advanced like yourself might turn around and pull 5 to 10 things out of it. That's really valuable, isn't it? Like if I told you right now we can improve your online business, you as far along as you are by 5 to 10 steps, you're going to be like, holy shit, okay, like let me take advantage of that. So I'm excited to get that over to you and want you to take a look at it.
Do you talk about, and this is interesting because do you talk about how much hard work and consistent work and the work ethic and all that is important? Because I think a lot of people don't understand that. I took the one course I took the Casey Neistat course on how to make films, right? And the most important thing I got from that was like how hard he worked to get like a certain shot or a couple of series of shots. And you're like, he's setting things up and you're like, and he's fucking them up too. And you can see where he fucked it up. And one time he was like skateboarding through New York and he forgot to turn the mic on. So he's talking and he lost about, 3 minutes or 4 minutes of really quality video with audio. So he didn't, but do you talk about that like that? Okay, you got to work hard and you're
gonna we mention it. I think what we really were focused on is giving actionable items, right? And I know the mastermind that they're going to be getting with this, the access, the private Facebook group where we'll come on and we'll talk. I think we'll cover a lot of that there. What I didn't want this course to become was a lot of theory, which a lot of these coaches are doing. Oh, I owned a gym and I was tired of this and that. And it's like a sorry sob story. It's like, please stop it. And I, decided to do this and I was depressed. It's like, come on, like, what do they need to do to get from point A to point B? And that's what we're delivering. So I think with us, and that was advice I took from Mike Boyle probably 8-9 years ago, where he looked at me and he's like, you like my talk? He said, I like your talk. You need more nuts and bolts. And at that point, that was when we really started thinking about it. It was like, all right, I don't want to annoy people with, oh, well, this and that. And listen, at the end of the day, there's not too many coaches on the planet. And I've gone in and opened clubs in New York City at the scale that I did it at, that failed massively with fundraising, with launching app companies. Like if you look at it, this is 25 years right now of successes and a lot of failures. And I needed that along the way to be able to build this. And I needed that along the way to be able to speak from experience. But a lot of people right now, they don't want to clean up weights on the floor. They don't want to go in and become, at the time when I was working at Equinox back in 1999, I was a purple shirt, which meant you wore purple shirts. You weren't an official trainer yet. You cleaned up weights and you spotted people when they needed it, until you went through the Equinox Fitness Theory, FTI, and then you would evolve and you become a coach. So, I would never go back and change that. And even if you're an online coach, like you've worked with people one-on-one, thousands of people. if you are an online coach and you've never worked with people one-on-one, and when I say people, I don't mean like, oh, I did sessions for like a year. If you haven't spent at least, in my opinion, at least 5 years getting your hands dirty on the floor, understanding what a big box gym, how that operates, going into smaller facilities, going home to home, until you have all that stuff for your resume, which you have technically done, right? When you go to professional sports teams and you have to play by the rules of the GM, and yeah, you have to, then you understand the business piece of it and you understand how to deal with personalities. Until you do that, you're just missing out on a huge aspect of the business. If you turn around and you call me up, which I get calls every day, I want to become a coach. What do? I would tell you, I'd say, listen, go get a national certification. I don't care what it is, NASM, ACSM, CSCS, I don't care, right? Go work at a big box gym. Understand what it's like to train 8 to 10 people a day, understand what it's like to be tired, understand what it's like to deal with a PT manager, understand what it's like to deal with those different personalities, and then start doing mentorship programs, internship programs, take Boyle certification, go take FMS, go get a hard style certification, like understand the kettlebell, go understand about running mechanics, right? Go learn from a Derek Hansen. These are, you need, and I'm not saying that to specialize in that, not at all. I tell everyone to take TPI. TPI stands for the Titleist Performance Institute. Well, I'm not a golfer. I don't care. Greg Rose is a genius. I don't care what anyone says. The guy's brilliant. He is one of the best I've ever seen in the industry. He's one of the smartest people I've seen in the industry. And you go through his curriculum and you understand, movement and training and assessing, and now what he's doing with On Base U or golf or different sports, you start understanding a side of this industry that I feel like is incredibly important. But if you're going to go train for 3-4 months and then be like, I want to become an online sensation, man, this is level of believability that you are never going to have. You're never going to gain that credibility. Did I want to become a celebrity trainer? That wasn't my plan. I opened Drive back in 2005. It was a golf fitness training facility. We had indoor golf simulators. We had a bar. We had a huge gym floor. We were assessing golfers, putting them through 3D swing analysis, kinematic sequencing, using different forms of tech back then to, dartfish, to assess swings, to look at the sequencing of the golfer, putting that in conjunction with their assessment, having the trainer meet with the coach. Like, we were early on. And then out of nowhere, you get exposed to a different world. I meet Hugh Jackman, and then, a part of my career takes off and you just go with it. But I would never have been ready to work with people like that unless, I had, by the time I met Hugh, it was 2007. I had 7 years of experience of being on gym floors. I had 7 years of experience of people being rude to me. I had 7 years of experience of understanding how to deal with different personalities, right? And this was before the time where, he wanted to do some marketing for me. And at the time I was like, don't worry about it. I didn't want to expose them. I was so panicked about them thinking that it was about me and not them. And that's why I became a success. But, going into opening my first app company, Driven Apps, and, watching that thing become a massive success and overnight just crumbling. When you go through those sort of things and you start understanding what stress is, what pressure is in the business, and having to recreate yourself, and Amex shutting down your credit card, and Con Ed shutting down your power, and not having hot water in your gym for 3 months. Air conditioning goes down in July, August. It's 30 grand to fix. Come on, how do you teach this stuff? You learn this through experience. That's why it almost cracks me up. Like, there are things with your body you are learning differently now than you were in your 50s. 100%. Take the smartest coach on the planet who is 25 years old. I don't care if they understand every, piece of movement, every term in anatomy, kinesiology. I don't give a shit. until you start going through some of that stuff yourself, and until you work with people who are going through it, and you understand how to take someone out of that quicksand and pull them out and allow them to feel better, then they fall back in and you pull them out. Until you go through that experience, can you really talk? Right? Like, I've worked with people who have cancer. Like, you're going to read the books? Like, no, it's also like, it's almost impossible to be able to judge. Someone's going through chemo and they want to continue to train. Like, do you really know what you're working with that day? No, you don't. You just better make sure you're not stressing them out too much, right? So there are things that only experience is going to give you. And if you're trying to be an online coach, continue your education, right? Do some sort of an online business course, something like what we decided to offer, because no one's doing what we're doing right now. Like, we've read 1,000 books, we've taken hundreds of webinars, we've looked at this stuff, and it's just that a lot of it's not actionable. And it's you got to be willing to get your hands dirty. And that is what I see is where people are missing, they're missing the bullseye massively. They only want to do the things that they want to do. Did I ever tell you the story about Mark Menya?
No.
Mark Menya from Anatomy, he owns the Anatomies.
Yep.
I've told this story before, and could cut me off if I start, but I'm going to tell it again, actually. I met him out in Luca Hostifer's event last year. And he's telling a story about how he was working on the gym floor of like an Equinox, or this is years ago. And there's no one in the gym, or he thinks there's no one in the gym. And he sees a piece of trash on the floor. So he walks over, he picks up the piece of trash and throws it in the garbage. And some guy is on the step mill far away. And he's like, hey, come here. So Mark walks over and goes, yes, sir. And the guy goes, what are you doing? He's like, what do you mean, what am I doing? I'm cleaning up, picking up that piece of trash. And the guy's like, well, that's not your job. Your job is training. Your job is specific things. Your job is not to pick up trash. And Mark's like, yeah, but I have a level of pride that I have at this place. And I don't want to walk around and look at trash. I don't want people to walk in the facility that I'm, working in to see trash on the floor. There's a level of pride. And just fast forwarding that story, 6-7 years later, that guy on the step mill became Mark's biggest investor. And Mark ended up opening, it's going to be close to a dozen clubs now. And Mark went through a lot of good and a lot of bad. And I think he even said was in that car with the investor one night, begging him not to take the keys when they thought the business was sinking. And when you have those moments, any gym owner that I know that has been in the business for a while has had those moments. Every single one of us has had that, oh, fuck, am I going to be here in the morning? I almost missed 37 payrolls, 37 in a row. Imagine 37 payrolls in a row. That's every other week, that you're literally going to bed at night going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my staff. And then you're taking from Peter to pay Paul, and you got to get creative. So yeah, there's a part of all this that scares me for the future, because I feel like kids are wanting things a little bit too easy. Are they going to want to sit there and grind out a 20-hour course? The answer should be yes. Every trainer on the planet, honestly, we created something right now where I feel like, and I sounds like a salesperson, every trainer on the planet should be taking this course that my wife and I just launched. And that was the purpose of it. That was to create something that every single trainer could utilize, learn from, and then, turn around, be able to ask questions. And that's why we launched the mastermind.
Yeah. And you touched on this whole idea that learning is experiential. And have you guys tried to make the course that way? Like, hey, here's a strategy, go out and do that. And then before you get to the next module. And
yeah, we definitely did. I definitely gave some input, but again, I wanted to really make this, about, what do they need to do to execute? And once they learn the things they need to do to execute, they learn from some of the things that I went through, having the opportunity now to come on to a private group and be able to ask my wife and I, why Mel? Because Mel works the back end and she does it as well as anyone now. And she immersed herself in this for the last, however many years, to learn as much as possible and continue to learn, because this stuff evolves, right? Like, she turned around to me, I think it was last night. She's like, check this out. I started, I created a whole new newsletter, and I realized I could do specific graphics with it now, and always trying to evolve it in a way that's better. And I think that's important, but it's tough for coaches, Derek. You know, there's only so much time, right? If you're out working with the Kansas City Chiefs one day or the Atlanta Braves one day, and you're grinding and you're at a camp with them, coming in and putting time in your online business, it's tiresome. Like, you need to put time aside. You need, just like I tell people, schedule time to get your session in, and I do. I know I'm training at 8 a.m. on Monday, and unless something comes up that's not movable, I will be here Monday at 8 a.m. Now, if people are like, phone calls, when can you talk? 8 to 10 is it's off the grid, because I need to eat, I need to shower, I need to warm up, I need to go. I want 2 hours. I need 2 hours to be able to do all that stuff. Can I get it done a little bit sooner? Yes, I could. But for me to relax and to go in there and do what I need to do, 2 hours. Now, if something pops up that's an emergency, I will move that. Otherwise, everything else gets scheduled around that session. And that's time management. And that's understanding that, yeah, am I my most important client? I better be, because if I'm not healthy, if I'm not moving a certain way, or my body's not working a certain way, or I can't speak through experience, why the hell would anyone want to listen to anything I'm saying? Right? Like, the proof's in the pudding with you. Like, you were a track star. You've worked with many track stars. You've learned under a world-renowned expert. You have now been working with people where the proof is in the pudding, all the way down to your kids, right? Like, could you imagine, like, well, who's Derek worked with? Nobody. Like, has Derek gotten anyone fast? No. Like, who the hell's going to want to work with you, right? Like, we are our business card, and that's something that's forgotten. I don't understand coaches when they turn around, they're like, oh, I'm slipping. I'm letting this get away from me. I'm like, how? You need to prioritize this. This is about, why? Is it about, you having a muscle to show a bicep? No, screw that. This is about your mental health. This is about you waking up every day and feeling good and having a high level of energy and turning around and saying, prioritize this stuff. And, if that wasn't in place for me, if my training, if my continuing education, if my thirst for wanting to get better, if I wasn't focusing on that stuff, most people would say, why the hell are you creating a course? You're doing just fine without it. It's like, yeah, you're right. I want to help people improve. I want to continue to build businesses. I want to continue to reach and do better every single day. And when I don't, I get freaked out. When I'm not climbing, I get freaked out. A couple of weeks ago, I'm waking up, everything's a little calm. It's right after Labor Day. Next thing you know, I'm gutting this place. We're doing like fall cleaning. We're having a team meeting. We're reorganizing everything. What do we need to change? Let's go. Let's push. It became like very, why are you doing this right now? Because we need to keep moving forward. And complacency, I think, is one of the worst traits that someone can inherit.
We talk about time management. When do you know, and this is tough because I know a lot of people deal with this, when do you know when to do it yourself and when to delegate or hire somebody else to do it? Do you talk a bit about that stuff? Because that's tough. I've seen a lot of people, like, I like doing stuff myself because I think most of the people out there are incompetent, right? So I think, okay, I'm going to get it done right. But sometimes I'm probably spinning my wheels and wasting my time.
Yeah, I think that's when you got to ask that question. Like, are you able to get it done? Right. I brought Rob on full time here because there were things that I've always been doing that I cannot put my time in anymore. So I think it's understanding that I know how to do it. I know how to edit. I know how to, maybe not as good as Rob, but I did my social media for, up until this year, I was running it myself. My wife was helping out here and there, but everything. Now Rob helps us get organized, helps us put it in the calendar, helps us shoot, lighting's in the background. I think it is important to understand and learn how to do certain things. But I also think at a certain point, like when we were doing our paid marketing, we had teams coming in and helping us. And we were always feeling like, oh, this ad isn't good, or this really isn't our voice. We actually took that over, right? And we started shooting our ads on our own, and we started creating this stuff on our own. And you know what? We learned how to do that, because that's a really important element of our business that we need to make sure that we're nailing. Now, do I need to be sitting here, color correcting a video for the next hour? Absolutely not. That is something we had to teach someone to do. That is a complete waste of my time. I could be doing other things with my time that are helping our business grow. So I think at a certain point, you have to start reinvesting into your business, and you have to start saying to yourself, you know what, maybe I made X amount of dollars off this program, but how nice would it be to take half that money and bring a part-time person in and train them? Or how about this? I found a person I love. It would cost me an extra 10 grand a year, but man, would that open me up to doing so much more. Now, if you're going to sit there and hire the person and go inside and play video games, then I think that's a disaster. It's like, okay, you start utilizing. Now, if you're going to hire that person, bring them in and start reaching out to publications, start collaborating with people, going on podcasts, shooting content with different people, getting in the public eye a little bit more, doing specific things. How about you? Coaching, going and working with the Atlanta Braves. That is where I think the needle is going to get moved the most for you. But you like, oh, well, I got 20 hours of video I have to edit. Like, I didn't edit like this 20-hour course we didn't put together. I didn't edit for a second. Like, thank God for Rob. Him and Mel went through that. What did that allow me to do with my time to allow us to grow our business? What are we doing with partnerships? Frank Seppi and I going out to the Olympia and launching a program, and all these other exciting things now that you can do to get in the public eye, figuring out ways. Well, how do we get into that demographic a little bit? How do we start getting those eyeballs on our product? So that's when you start getting good. When you turn around and you recognize that, this is what I need to work on. And, honestly, like, I could probably have someone else do this for me, and quality control is never going to drop. The one thing I will never do is I'll never have someone, I have someone answering questions on the back end when it comes down to technical, like, oh, didn't receive this email, or having a problem with my Dropbox. Yes. I have never had anyone answer a question when it comes down to training or nutrition. Never. And I won't do it. Like, when I'm dealing with my community, if they are part of my challenger community and they're asking me a question, they get access to me, which is why every morning, Monday to Friday, they get a video anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes long. Sometimes 45 minutes long. And that video is calling out people. Hey, Derek, you asked me about, how much cardio should I be throwing? Well, Derek, it depends, and let's talk about a few things here. And I'm calling out every name. So I'm answering every question. So when people join my challenger community, they understand they're getting access to me 5 days a week for 4 weeks, and they're getting a video library. They're getting all this stuff. So there's certain things I will not have anyone step in on. Now, when it comes down to, building the back end or setting up the graphics or editing and this and that, Mel and Rob can handle that, and they should handle that. Right. And that's when you start getting good. Now, if I was handling that right now, like if I, like with you, we could probably turn around and look at what you're doing. You're great at the editing. You're great at all that stuff. But if it's eating into time and it's eating into things that you could be doing to build your business, then at a certain point, you probably want to take the things that are the lowest hanging fruit, right? Like the things that are hanging lowest, like, all right, well, that's easy. Like, do I really need to do that? And start delegating, start with a part-time person, or, you bring someone in who maybe is creative, maybe a young kid who's like, oh no, I'm great with edit. It's like, all right, man, listen, do you want to come by and do an hour of editing for me 3 days a week? Great. This is the content I have. What are some of your ideas? Let's talk about it. This is the look that I like. What do you like to do? Well, this is what I thought about doing. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, what's that going to cost me? Oh, great. Why don't we try this out for a while and see how this works? And then out of nowhere, you take that time where you see that person editing, and then you work on, developing your business and building that end of it. So listen, you got to reinvest in yourself.
So when people purchase this, what's the best way you think for them to go through it? Like, I know some people buy my courses and they just do it one weekend. I'm like, I wanted you to take a little longer and digest the info. Do you think maybe an hour a day or something going through it?
That's the way I like to that's the way I do things personally. Like, I can't retain so much information at once unless I'm getting on some type of a roll. But, I recommend, like, I just went and retook my boaters course. Like, I got my boater certification back when I was like 13 or 14. And I decided during the pandemic to retake it. And I would do probably 30 minutes a night, and just kind of go through it. And it was relaxed and it was enjoyable. And what I would recommend people to do with it is go through it and then go through it again. Like, spend the next, if you're a type A person and you're one of these people that can literally go in and take notes and just rip it apart and execute it great, I know how I operate with things is I need to review and review again and start implementing point by point and immerse myself into like where I become the professional in that area. And like tell yourself, listen, my goal here is in the next 6 to 12 months to understand this thing inside out. I'm going to implement one change a week or one change a month or whatever it is. And I'm just going to become great at it. Like it could be something as simple as step one, build my own website. This is the software that they told me to use. This is what I'm going to use. Websites build, got a couple of pictures up there. It's not perfect. It'll evolve. Great. That just took me a month, right? I need better pictures, but I have a shoot in a month. I'll update it then. What's the next thing I need to do? Create a newsletter, go to ConvertKit, build a newsletter. What are some of the things? Is there a lead, is there a lead magnet I can create? And then every month you start creating something. 4 or 5 months in, you're like, oh, wow. In that last 4 or 5 months, I've created a website. I've developed my email newsletter. I've started my email marketing. I created a lead magnet. I'm now starting to look at, my email list and looking at my click rates and my open rates and certain things. And I'm going to keep improving those numbers. And I'm just going to immerse myself in this. And yeah, that's what they need to do. This kind of is like a holy grail for online coaches, where if they learn everything in here, I really think all you need after that is the ability to be creative and hard work. Once you have that infrastructure in place, if you can keep figuring out ways to be creative, because Derek, you're a storyteller, I'm a storyteller. That's really what we are. We're coaches, but if you want to build an online business, you got to tell a story. Right. And you do that when you every time you put up a social post and you have someone going in slow motion, or you're looking at, a 50-year-old running, and you have that 50-year-old turning around going, man, I haven't done that in 30 years. How nice would that be? And then you're suddenly like, listen, I'm going to show you how to do that again, maybe even better than you were doing that 30 years ago. But these are the steps along the way that you need to do this. Just give me 12 weeks. Then suddenly you're telling a story. Right. And that's what this is about. So it's really exciting, man. I'm really pumped about it.
Yeah. And I mean, the great thing about it, doing the virtual course, is that I can go back and watch it again and again. And that's what I like about it. Whereas if you taught a course on a weekend,
it's done. You better take good notes. You better take good notes.
Forgot 75% of it. Right. So what's the easiest way for people to sign up?
Go to donsaladino.com.
Okay.
There's a section there that says courses. I'll have Mel send you over the course ASAP. I wrote a note down. Let me see. I gotta see. Did I write your name down? Yeah. And I'll have her send it over to you and with a code and start going through it. And
it's easy enough for people just to look at. You probably have an outline there of what's covered.
It's so self-explanatory. It was like what you did. What you did was tremendous, right? Like you have different sections and it's broken down. It's very simple. Yeah. Let me know.
That's good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to looking at that. And like you said, if you're a trainer, you're a physical therapist, you're a doctor, whatever, they can all learn from it, right?
100%. Same.